Hello, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now. This is Blueprint Explosive Exclusive and I'm Heena Gambhir. Viewers, with Operation Sindoor, India successfully displayed its capability of being Atmanirbhar. Currently, there is a pause, there is a ceasefire understanding. But can we really trust Pakistan? Well, looking at the history, the answer is no. So India needs to be future ready. Raksha Mantri today has approved the execution model for Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft program. What does it mean? It simply means that India will be making advanced medium combat aircraft. The fifth generation fighter plane will be made in India. Why is it important? Because it marks a generational leap in India's fighter aircraft development. Let's tell you a little bit about the background here. The Cabinet Committee on Security had approved the project in 2024 in March. Now, this approval by the Defence Minister today is a step towards developing the AMCA prototype. It is a step towards enhancing India's indigenous capabilities. Aeronautical Development Agency will be leading this project with the private sector. Let's now tell you a little bit about India's very own fifth generation fighter jet that India will be making. Actually, it is being developed as a 5.5 generation fighter advanced medium combat aircraft because it blends fifth generation stealth with sixth generation technologies. And like I said, it will be made in India. It is a multi-role combat aircraft weighing 25 ton with twin engine. Fuel capacity is 6.5 ton. It will have advanced stealth features. It's perfect for modern warfare. Estimated cost of this project, viewers, is about 15,000 odd crore rupees. Now, the prelim design phase is complete, is what we are learning. It was unveiled at Aero India 2025. The Ministry of Defence, after the approval came today, hasn't provided any details about the timeline, but as per reports, first prototype is likely to be ready by 2031. And then by 2035, it is set to rule the skies. And with this, India is going to join the elite club of nations designing and producing their own fleet of next-gen combat aircraft. Right now, these countries have developed fifth-generation aircraft. United States of America, it has F-22 Raptor, fifth-generation stealth fighter known for its combination of stealth, speed and agility and advanced avionics. In fact, this provides first-skill opportunity against the threats. Then America also has F-35A Lightning II. This is world's best-known fifth-generation fighter, hard to be detected by radar. Coming to China, China has J-20 Mighty Dragon that you can see on your screens right now. And this is considered China's response to F-22 Raptor made by Lockheed Martin that is with the United States of America. For China, this is a symbol of its military modernization. It has supersonic cruise capabilities and super maneuverability. And then coming to Russia, another country. Russia has Sukhoi Su-57. It is the fifth generation multifunctional fighter designed for wide range of combat tasks. And this first Russian aircraft comes with stealth technology. And now, India is going to be part of this elite club. India will develop AMCA. And today's announcement is a declaration of India's resolve, readiness and Atmanirbharta. Let's now tell you about the features of fifth-gen jets. AI-led electronic pilot. Now, this is important. This helps in advanced decision-making, especially during combat scenario. Net-centric warfare systems. This gives you real-time combat coordination. Internal weapon bay, which means these fighter jets can carry 4 long-range air-to-air missiles, up to 4 long-range air-to-air missiles. And lastly, low electromagnetic signature. Now, this is very, very important. It means if you have this feature in your fighter jet, it is hard to be detected by the radar of the enemy. Let's now tell you why India needs fifth-gen aircraft. Well, after the conflict between India and Pakistan and successful execution of Operation Sindoor, you won't believe it, viewers, what is China and Pakistan up to together. China is pushing its fifth generation jets to Pakistan. Can you believe it? Some reports are suggesting that the delivery has been expedited. In fact, China has offered liberal payment terms, which includes 50% discount as well to Pakistan for the fifth generation jets. Now, as per reports, this poses a two-front challenge and something that India cannot really ignore. And that's why India needs fifth generation aircraft. India needs made in India fifth generation aircraft so that we do not depend on countries like United States of America or Russia. And moreover, with only 31 active squadrons against the sanctioned strength of 42, and an aging fleet of MiG-29s, Jaguars and Mirage 2000s, can we really afford to wait till 2035? Can this program, for which a significant approval has come today, can it be expedited? This is what we are going to be discussing with our guest today. We have Air Marshal R.G.K. Kapoor, retired, who's joining us on the broadcast. Ex-Air Officer, Commanding-in-Chief, Central Air Command. We will also be joined by retired Air Vice Marshal P.K. Srivastav, who is a defense expert. Good evening to you, Air Marshal R.G.K. Kapoor. I want to begin by asking you, can you tell us a little bit about, firstly, the importance of this aircraft that's going to be made in India, this so-called fifth generation aircraft for which the approval has come today?
Good evening, Heena. Thanks for having me on the show. It's very important as far as India is concerned. Fifth generation is just not an aircraft. It's a combination of many technologies which go into making a fifth generation aircraft. When we talk about the future warfare is going to be completely networked. That means the aircraft will be talking to many systems and control systems, command and control nodes, without transmitting much. So it is going to be passive. And when we have, that means it is a set of computers, very high-speed computers, with huge amount of artificial intelligence. That means it is hugely software dependent. And when an aircraft is very hugely software dependent, it is, you will agree that nobody shares their software. They will share a product, but not software. And hence, to get actual Atmanirbharta, and an aircraft like a fifth generation aircraft will remain in service for almost 40 to 50 years. And while it does so, it goes through many upgrades and software upgradations. Like if you see the F-35A of United States Air Force, it is going through its fourth software upgrade in about 10 years. And so, same thing will happen. Every 2 to 3 years, there will be new systems, new weapons, and new items equipment which will be added to this aircraft, which will require software upgrades. And that is the reason why it is very important that we become completely independent or Atmanirbhar in making an aircraft like this, which has technologies which will continue to refine and grow as the aircraft continues to go ahead. And so if we depend, today, if you have heard in a lot of the media talk, when we want to, let us say, we want to integrate Astra 3, which is a DRDO-developed air-to-air missile, onto a Rafale, we need its source codes. That means those are the codes by which we can integrate our own weapon systems. And that is the most difficult thing to get. So nobody will give you the source codes, nobody will give you various technologies which go with it. We can get a fifth generation aircraft, but to get those technologies to integrate, because future battlefield is going to be an integrated battlefield, as you saw during Operation Sindoor in its active field.
Right.
And so this is why it is very important.
Right. Very interesting points you've made. Air Vice Marshal P.K. Srivastav, I was just explaining to our viewers, the capabilities that this particular aircraft that we are now going to develop will really have. Now, at a time when China is pushing its fifth generation aircraft towards Pakistan, we just had a conflict with Pakistan. Operation Sindoor concluded. The world saw India's capabilities, but then Pakistan is also now going to its friends. So, given that situation, what do you make of this development today? And, what does it mean for Indian Air Force?
So basically, as Marshall pointed out very rightly, that okay, if we say our time was few years back to get onto this 5th generation stealth aircraft and get going, we must have our own aircraft, as he rightly pointed out, because I was in discussion. Let me tell you one example. And Israelis were very willing to give us Iron Dome. But what they were not willing to give us was the source code. When I asked them, will you be able to share the source code? Because when you get source code from somebody, we need to get it scrutinized and then understand and then put it on a system, run it ourselves. They said, no, if you give the source code, then what we have. So idea is that unless you have the source code, and that too for the 5th generation aircraft, which is branding itself to be 5.5 generation because of the AI in all our sensors, which are getting fused into it, we need our own aircraft. That's a given thing. Now we're starting now. So question is how fast we can do it.
Yes.
And how do you manage in between what we have? So there is one more thing which we all know who are in this air warfare domain, that, okay, there is a quality and there is a quality of numbers too. So if you match the numbers and you have your techniques and tactics in place, of 4.5 generation or nearly 5th generation aircraft can do the job as we did in Operation Sindoor. And as regards to J-35A, which is coming from China, and the way they give the export model, and you saw the what happened to PL-15, which was launched, the Beyond Visual Range missile, which was touted to be the best in the world, ultimately fell in one of those fields of Punjab. So I'm not pretty sure, and we all know that aircraft, by the time it comes, gets really operationalized and all that, we still have time, and we can manage with the numbers. But we must not miss one bus, and that is called creating our own ecosystem of having our own 5th generation aircraft. Because electronics on board, which gives us air situation and other things, our own ISA radar, that is active electronically scanned array radar, for which we have the basic component which is called MMIC, monolithic microwave integrated circuit. We have got our own. So we have a lot of components our own developed and built in-house. And through the LCA efforts, what we got, Tejas efforts, we have an ecosystem also going. ADA has also learned over 3 decades. So we have things going, and if government puts its pedal on fast track, Indian industry can do it. Another thing I'd like to tell you, why it can do it, because I was involved in that process. The whole AMCA aircraft has been engineered to be done modular fashion. And they are involving private sector too. Our big private sectors like L&T, like Tata's, like Godrej, like Bharat Forge, everybody is getting involved. So when private sector comes in play, we have both arms of industry getting into play. That is private sector and public sector. If these two things come, probably they'll come through a special purpose vehicle or HL will lead. So if they come through a special purpose vehicle, their stake will be even better. And these companies can push. I have myself been in a public sector as a director. I know what happens.
But Air Vice Marshal Srivastava, the point is that, technologies change quite fast. We are talking about getting this 5.5 generation fighter jet by 2035. We know how volatile the situation really is. So can it be expedited? What does it take to, make these kind of systems?
This we have done several times. As far as software technologies are concerned, world over, the Indians are ruling the roost. AI, we can do the job. That's where we can leapfrog our technological barrier. So this is one time when the aircraft is getting really AI driven, and all your sensors, all your equipment, avionics is going to have AI within it. In that, we as a country are good. We are good in 2 things. Let me tell you. One is rocketry and one is AI or the electronics or software part of it. The electronic, the chips, as regards to microchips, which will dominate in any case at the end of the day, because you need, whole of the world is dependent on one country, that is Taiwan. It's still 94% microchips, which do give you the compute power, airborne compute power, whether in missiles or aircraft, they come from Taiwan itself. So we are working towards it. It's a work in progress. But that should not deny us making of the 5th generation aircraft.
Absolutely. It is work in progress. We have displayed our capabilities to the entire world and how indigenously developed systems are very, very capable of defending the country. We've seen all of that. But again, Air Marshal R.G.K. Kapoor, I want to ask you the same question. You know, as far as AMCA is concerned, it's going to be in the skies not before 2035. That's what we have got to know from DRDO and what the reports are suggesting. That's a process. It's going to take time. But, you know, the way technology is changing, China, I think, has now started working on 6th generation aircraft, if I'm not wrong. So in that case, can something be done to expedite it? Because Indian Air Force really needs some kind of, boost at this point in time. Definitely today's step is a morale booster, but then it's going to take a lot of time.
So you are right, Heena, that, we cannot wait for 2035. I think those are very, very luxurious timelines to be set for producing a 5th generation aircraft when, like you covered in your introduction, 2 more countries are working on 5th generation. 3 more countries are working on 5th generation. South Korea, Turkey, and Japan. Japan is in fact working on the 6th generation aircraft.
Yes.
And so if you see by 2030, most countries around us would have 5th generation aircraft. And when we are talking about 5th generation coming in 2035, I think it is a cause of concern. And additionally, it is a cause of concern because of the additional technologies which we need, especially in terms of avionics, in terms of electronics, semiconductors which go around in making this. And most importantly, the engine. The government must take a very, very quick decision on deciding the engine, because GE 414, which powers the LCA Mark 1 and which is going to power the LCA Mark 2, is supposed to be there for the AMCA phase 1. And that is not going to provide the kind of agility and the thrust that is required for a 5.5 generation aircraft. And so it is a cause of concern. There are 2 choices that are available with the nation. One is induct some numbers earlier, though the challenge would be to integrate it into our network warfare system. That is a challenge, but so that be, because individually this aircraft can penetrate integrated air defenses much better than a 4.5 generation, which we have witnessed during our Operation Sindoor, when we saw that Pakistan with its 4.5 generation aircraft could not penetrate our own air defense system.
Yes.
And so it is a question. And the bigger threat for India is not Pakistan. I don't think Pakistan is to be considered a threat at all now.
Yes.
The bigger threat for India is China.
Yes.
And if you see, today China has more than 300 J-20 5th generation aircraft, and by 2035, they will have 1,500 5th and 6th generation aircraft.
Yes.
And so that should be a cause of concern for us. And what I think the aim of the Raksha Mantri has been in approving this new execution model is to not go straight looking at HAL, which has been a tradition in our country.
Yes.
And so what he is trying to do is he's provided the industry a more level field to compete with HAL. And with private industry, I think we could, if we work collaboratively,
right,
and take a partner from some other country also,
right,
we can contract these timelines to 2032 timeframe, and that's an
interesting point you've made. And Air Vice Marshal P.K. Srivastava, I think there are a couple of important messages as well on the, as far as this decision of the Raksha Mantri today is concerned. One, of course, that we are going to be looking at this collaboration with the private sector in developing something like a fighter jet. Second, I think, when Prime Minister Modi visited the United States of America in February, at that point in time, Trump offered to sell F-35 stealth fighter to India. There hasn't really been any official word after that from Washington, D.C. But do you think it's also a message from India to the world that we have the capabilities and we have options as well. If US does not, give us the technology or these kind of aircraft at the right price, perhaps we have Russia as an option that we have also considered with S-400 in the past too.
So, Heena, two things. First, the J-35, you said they just got the J-35 and it's getting going. I will take the claims not with a pinch of salt, but with a fistful of salt. There is always a great divergence between what they claim and what actually on ground happens. So that's about that. Coming to F-35, the offer by President Trump, American offers of that class of weapon would come with a lot of strings and a lot of other things attached to it, including the end use of the weapon system. That's what they have been doing world over. So it'd be a very difficult thing to really carry on for your front weapon system, which you want to have, and you want to maintain your sovereignty. So that is something for the government to think and the current Air Force dispensation to think. And all of us are aware of it and know about it. Now, I do agree with Air Marshal on one issue completely and totally, that we need to hurry it up. Now, what are the components which really can hurry it up, and how it happened world over when people were, struggling still and they didn't have the talent? The one thing which has to go into that when you bring in the private sector, it also has the ability and agility to hire any talent it wants to. We have a lot of talent all around, and lot of them are Indian origin. We need to go scanning that environment and bringing that on. There were some companies on sale. There was a time we didn't buy them off. That could have given the starting platform. So we need to employ all methods of producing the thing on a very fast pace. So that has to be done. Those tie-ups we need to do. But I'm pretty sure nobody is going to share the technology they have evolved over years by spending billions of dollars.
Yes.
So we'll have to spend our own money. So what it needs that you have private sector and public sector coming together. It also needs that nation has to go into mission mode. And as Air Marshal has rightly pointed out, the soul of whole thing is an aero engine. Where is the aero engine? At the moment, we're banking upon G to give us 414. That doesn't have that kind of kilonewtons thrust which we want for the kind of aircraft which is going to really rule the skies later on. So you need to have these two lines running parallel. Both lines have to run in parallel. The Kaveri engine program, if you allow me to say the aero engine program like that, that has to come in a big hurry, in a mission mode. Right. And I know our country, whenever we took on anything in mission mode, we were able to compress timelines.
Yes.
You have to think of innovative methods, and those methods are available. On a show, it's not the time, but there's a whole list of things and host of things which we can do, and we can really make it happen and contract it, not only 20% or 30%, by 40%. Because our ecosystem will respond to it. And for aircraft manufacturing, let me also put one point very clearly. No country is fully dependent or fully self-dependent. Yes. You need to get things from your friendly countries. You put them together and you go. But critical things, you never give it to anybody else. And most critical is your software, which is needed for putting your weapon systems on board.
That is the reason why now we have this big decision coming in. We will also be making in our country, fifth generation fighter jet, and the entire system. It's going to be indigenously developed. The big approval has come from the Raksha Mantri. A green signal has come from there, and a big boost to the Indian Air Force as well. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Air Marshal R.G.K. Kapoor and Air Vice Marshal P.K. Srivastava. Appreciate both of you for joining us here on Blueprint Explosive Exclusive. Heading into a short break.